I'm going to talk about my experience with mold in my home, which is really, like, I want this channel to be, I don't know what this channel is going to be about, but I mean, I do. Like, this is a space for me to really just share all of the things that I've been through and that go on inside me, all of the knowledge and education that I've gotten, and, you know, and just share that with people who can benefit from it. And so specifically, you know, parents, I want to help parents because we're doing a lot of work. Everybody's doing a lot of work, but this particular kind of work, right? And like expanding consciousness and, you know, development and growth and healing in parenthood. So mold in my home. But it totally, like, the way that I have dealt with it, because it's been gnarly. It's the kind of, like, I went through a whole period of just going through all of, like, the mold sickness and, like, we own our home. And so, I don't know, there's like plus and minuses with that, but, and it's like the kind of mold that comes from water damage. It's been gnarly. And so, like, going through that journey, though, it has been like a whole health thing. It's also like I have young children. It started when my kids were pretty young. We haven't been able to fully remediate it yet. And so we're living in this space that, you know, like, if you look on the internet, like, mold toxicity is really terrifying. And it paired really well with all of my existential anxiety and was like a really big focus of mine, trying to, I mean, what I mean when I say, like, my existential anxiety, like, it really went hand in hand with this horrible core belief that there's something wrong with me. Not just that there's something wrong with me, but that, like, my environment is toxic and making me sick. And this comes from my childhood of, you know, that I think is pretty common in our Western culture that tends to be pretty narcissistic. That, like, I grew up with this wound of I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, and also growing up undiagnosed neurodivergent, there was always this sense of, like, oh my God, there's something wrong, and there was a lot of gaslighting, right? Because I was getting upset about things that other people didn't think I should be getting upset about. So, growing up, just always having this fear, right? This fear and this feeling and this belief, and it, like, that didn't come from any, like, nowhere, right? Like, I was receiving messaging, right? That there's something wrong. There's something wrong with me. But nobody's talking about it, right? And nobody's confronting it and dealing with it. Ultimately, because nobody has the capacity to do that at the time. And so, like, this mold thing shows up in my life in the first few years of becoming a mother. And and it's the kind of mold that's, like, behind the walls, right? Like, it's not visible, but I can smell it, and I feel, like, the brain fog and the, like, just all of the symptoms. And over the years, like, it had gotten worse. Started having like immune issues and autoimmune signs and migraines, and on top of just like chronic fatigue, all of that really like real stuff of like growing, living in a space where it's toxic. And then going through like down the rabbit holes, right? Of like, what do I do and how do I fix this, and how do I remediate it? And also dealing with like, well, we don't have the financial ability to remediate it, and what do I do, you know? And there's like a lot of fear, around it that is very much a trauma response. And there's the part of it where, yes, like, we need to remediate the mold in our home because it's not good for our health. And there are toxic things all over the place. There is mold all over the place. Like, mold is everywhere. Fungus is everywhere. And it's just like, there are a lot of things in the world that can kill us. And so, but that's not to say that, like, again, like, I shouldn't be taking care of it, but do I need to be responding with a ton of urgency and, you know, like that trauma response, right? Like, responding from a trauma response in a situation that isn't immediately threatening to my life, it doesn't really serve me. In my experience, it hasn't really served me, right? Like, I like to believe that it helped me when I was a child get through life that felt difficult, but now as an adult, like, unconsciously repeating patterns based off of past experiences, it's one way to live. It's not the way that I want to live. So dealing with the mold, right? Like, I had to come to terms with the fact that we didn't have the money to remediate. We didn't have the money to move. We couldn't sell our home. It just was, how do I learn how to live with a moldy house and not give up on my health and a good life? So we've been able to do some things to remediate some of the mold, and we're working towards being able to remediate other larger problems with it. But I don't know that we'll be able to remediate all of it, and I don't know that I feel like it's necessary. And I know that there are also some people who like have genes where they're like really allergic to mold. We don't have that, so that's something different. But what I really learned through this process of not trying to annihilate or run away from completely this toxic thing in my life, but learn how to simultaneously take intentional action toward changing the situation, doing everything that I could for my health. So that meant supporting my body the best that I could through diet and movement and all of, like, you know, the detoxing pathways, and getting outside more, and also improving my mood, because when we're happier, that helps our immune system. And yeah, just like I feel like it was really gnarly for a while. Like I was really, like, it was driving me insane. Like it was just intrusive thoughts, and it was causing like ruptures in my relationship with my partner. I was terrified for my kids' health, and um, and you know, like, and like sometimes we're having to face things that we can't, like, the answer isn't to fully eradicate something or to completely do away with it, right? Like, it's not about purity and like 100% prevention and avoidance and, um, you know, like, it has absolutely changed me. Like, I go out into the world, and if somebody lives in a moldy environment, like, I smell mold on them. And I didn't used to have that. Yeah, I really wish that I could, like, do something cool with that. I mean, if we ever do move or something, I'll at least have this nose that can detect mold. And, you know, that's a sign of my body adapting, right? And evolving. And that's the thing too, is like, we're made to adapt and evolve. I feel really grateful that like I didn't blow up my life. And also, like, you know, again, saying like there are some people who like they just cannot function, right? Like they get so sick. And but like there's also just, I know there's a lot of people living with chronic fatigue and other, you know, autoimmune things, and it runs their life, and their life revolves around it. And my life revolved around it for a while, where I was just convinced that if I couldn't fix this thing, my life was ruined. I was ruined, and my children were going to be ruined. But I'm really grateful that like I didn't blow up my life because of it. That I'm stuck with what we have and what we're working with, and essentially like face my fear, right? Face the fear of like there's something wrong with me, and if I don't fix it, or there's something wrong in my environment, and if I don't fix it, like it's going to kill me, or it's going to ruin my life, or I can't be happy until this thing is gone, right? Like that is the biggest thing, that I can't be happy until this problem is fixed. I can't be happy until my health is 100%. I can't be happy until I am perfect and good enough. I've gotten to learn that I can be happy even in a house that has mold, you know? And that doesn't mean that I like continue to live in a moldy home. Like, again, I'm still doing things to, you know, make it better, make it safer, make it healthier, make it cleaner, or whatever. And making those changes, right, is really hard. It's a lot of work. It requires a lot of decision making. There, I mean, like, people can just go bankrupt trying to fix their moldy home. There's like so much money in mold remediation and testing, and just so much. Basically, like, there's no neutral source on out there on mold. Like, it's always just, mold is horrible and terrible, and like, if you don't fix it and take care of it, like, bad things are going to happen. And yes, it's true, like, I feel like I'm repeating myself now. Yes, it's true that mold is a problem, and if I get to a place where I'm feeling dysregulated by it, I'm pushed into a sense of urgency, and I'm pushed into a space of, nervous system activation. I am no longer having access to my full intelligence to make decisions of what to do to take care of this thing, right? To take care of it, to take care of myself, to take care of my family, to take care of my home. And so that right there is the difference, is that I am not getting caught up in the narratives, the semi-toxic narratives, right? Like, but it's not toxic, right? Like, I don't want to call it toxic. Sure, there's people out there that play it out so that they can make money off of people. And there's also a lot of people who just, like, it's ruined their lives, right? And they want to help people, and they want people to take it seriously, that, like, mold isn't something to ignore. And, like, it's also, it's everywhere. Like, mold is everywhere. And we like to think that our homes are these places that shelter us from the scary things out in the natural world, that keep us safe and our families safe. And so this idea of, like, mold being in our home and jeopardizing that sense of security and safety is, like, really hits an existential nerve. So it makes sense, right? I also think that mold kind of carries the like, this charge of sort of narcissistic abuse, which probably could be a whole nother video in and of itself, but I just really want this video to be about, like, separating, right? Getting some distance, some clarity around an experience that a lot of people feel is really helpless and powerless, right? And there's another way. It's just, it takes, like anything else, it takes some intention and hard decisions sometimes, change, a lot of change, and a lot of perseverance, right? And a lot of facing fears. But it's worth it, because I want to live with more freedom. I don't want to live with more fears. And I'm so looking forward to the day that, like, we fix our bathroom and significantly reduce the amount of mold in our home. And yeah, it's been a journey to get here, and my body is healing. And again, like, the more that I focus on nervous system regulation and joy and enthusiasm and happiness, that is going to support my immune system. That is going to like lay the foundation for how my body heals itself. And that is something that I have a lot of agency in. And that agency is really important when dealing with something like mold. Because again, like, mold is this scary thing that feels like it just sucks away a lot of power and agency. Because again, like, it's nature and it's invasive sometimes when it's in your home and your walls, and just the environment is great for it. And I've even now gotten to the point where like mold like feels like this thing that if I can learn to, you know, have more of a non-dual perspective around it, that it again, like, it allows me more freedom. Like, yes, it still impacts my health, and as I shake my head now, but yes, like, it still has an impact on me and my family. And yes, like, and so do like toxic people, right? Also, those people don't get to like, they can sometimes be just as hard as mold to remediate. But anyway, yeah. So anybody who's dealing with mold and like has like your home and your family, like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And again, not it's gonna be okay, you don't have to do anything about it, but it's going to be okay allows you, gives the capacity, gives the clarity and the resources to then make the next choice. And that's powerful. So I hope that was helpful or something. But yeah, I guess I wanted to add to like the moldy narrative that's out there, like a hopeful one, right? And not one that gives a really prescriptive list of like, this is what you have to do to heal, because that is also really overwhelming. That's really overwhelming. And that's the opposite of what one should start with when trying to heal from mold or remediate mold, is like, don't get overwhelmed. Like, but also, as I say that, like, don't let that be overwhelming either. Again, yeah, so I'll probably edit that part out, because it's just like, you're not alone in the mold. And, you know, also, like, not to be toxic positivity, but like, what can be learned from it, right? Because at least there's that. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's what I choose.